this is going to be game 2 of the 10 games of placements. I'm 2 for 2 so far. I caught every single game. So this will be volume 2. So volume 1 ended with our hero's tragic defeat. So he since bumped the queues up to a dual queue. So he has a bot laner that he can communicate with, which is a very wise strategy, as there was no bot synergy last game whatsoever, resulting in a very rapid and heartbreaking defeat. So for this game, we will have Jax up top going up against a Prestige Aatrox. The very sight of it brings pure rage to my eyeballs. The jungle matchup is going to be Elise up against the Echo, Galio against the Talon mid, and the bot lane matchup is Lucian Janna with their summoners swapped, as well as Ezreal Nautilus. So we will just be waiting for the game to begin. On stream, they have just crested past the 2.5 minute mark, so I assume the game itself will be beginning right now. Excellent. So I did see the first 1.5 minutes of this game. Surprise, surprise. Spoilers, there was a failed red buff steal, but we can relive it in all its glory. Pings going down onto the blue team Tribrush as red team gears themselves up for an early invade. But so far, everybody's had a hopefully nice start to season 11. Although I certainly can't wish for everybody to win their games, because half of everybody involved must lose. For every man that went 10-0, one person must go 0-10. This invade is completely foiled by an early word in the Tribrush. Great foresight there, but Janna gets spotted. She will leave, and red team calls off the invade. They sent 2 people to cycle around to plant the ward down at red team's brush, making this the most obvious red ward plant of all time. I don't know what that ward on the inside of the red pit is doing for the blue team though. Did they just assume they'd be giving up position? Well, personally, I hate Aatrox. I'm a top laner. I don't like Aatrox. I refuse to play Aatrox on principle because I am a man of principle. I play more fair and balanced champions, such as Poppy, which is a very fun and balanced champion, especially in lane, where she is borderline unbeatable unless your name is Darius or Set, or maybe Malphite. Although in my personal experiences as Poppy, I'm probably positive win rate into Malphites in lane, just because Poppy outputs such ridiculous damage in lane that very few champions can actually hold up against it. Not even Malphite, who is just hyper armor stacks. Obviously late game, a Malphite is a lot more useful than a Poppy, and late game, Poppy's chances of beating a Malphite significantly decreases. She's a tank that suffers from a massive problem of needing to really get in and essentially making herself unable to play engage and PL at the same time, and her engage most likely gets her killed because she needs to use her entire rotation as soon as she gets in, which means that it's very hard to make a team fight work for Poppy in the late game. Jax is going to try to make some good trades against the Aatrox. Unfortunately, good trading against the Aatrox is simply a myth and does not actually exist. Janna gets set on fire. She will have to flash away exhaust from the Lucian onto the Ezreal immediately, but there is the Echo dropping down parallel convergence. He's gonna come in for the phase dive. First blood goes over to somehow the Nautilus without lifting a finger. He gets credit for that kill. Ezreal's going to flash in. A very ill-advised decision as Lucian takes him down. Are we sure this guy is in diamond? And Lucian, fortunately, only gets 1 kill as Echo was completely untouched by either the Janna nor the Lucian. And he will simply die to the tower. I believe your buffs are still intact when you spawn if you die to a tower. Let us check. Just kidding. I totally lied. Spam pings going down onto the top lane. Jax is saying, yo, at least get your butt in here. But meanwhile, Elise is doing a much more reasonable thing, and then noticing that there is a hefty minion wave here sitting under blue team's own tower, which means that this gank is borderline unworkable. Until that happens, they finally do pick up the kill. As soon as the minions were focused on something that's not, that was the tower. Jax will have used the ignite, but Elise gets that kill credit, which means that Jax just has to stay and farm that top lane. He will come out of it with an EXP lead, but he will he will have much less gold overall. Talon is gonna get almost cocooned. He will not be hit by the projectile. Elise repels up to try to buy some time. She lands over onto the Echo. No, over the other side of the brush, but the Ignite will take her down, burning the spider. Turns out fire is extremely effective against insects, or arachnids. Spiders aren't insects. Jax has to run away. He leaves strikes to a ward. He needs to try to get out of there. Phase dive is coming back up. The Galio is the next to go. The Echo, all he can do is a Q. It procs a Dark Harvest, but does not proc Jax's life. Jax will make it out of there, but not before dropping 2 bodies of his fellow comrades. The red team up to a lead. Unfortunately, Ezreal is still extremely far behind the Lucian in terms of CS. He is down 19. But this massive minion wave, it is cresting closer towards the Ezreal, so he can definitely make up for the deficit. And here comes the Nautilus trap. It is set. The relentless pursuit. It barely gets Lucian enough distance out, and that is going to be a kill. The aftershock from the Nautilus secures it. Once again, 2-0 support. And the AD carry walks away with meager half gold. Echo comes in, and a beautiful anchor to the face. The Nautilus will get his 3rd kill, but unfortunately for him, he drops 450 gold straight over to the enemy ADC, further crippling the Ezreal in his ability to purchase items. Of all the 3 kills, like, well, okay, one was he was the only one who could have gotten that under the tower against the Janna. Probably, because Ezreal was a little bit too far back to use Mystic Shot. The other is, he somehow got the kill on Lucian without doing anything. Like, I didn't see him move, I didn't see anything explode. Lucian just died and the kill went over to Nautilus. And the 3rd was an aftershock kill, which some things you can't control. Very few are deliberate KSs. I've yet to see any. However, it is very unfortunate that the kill distribution at bot lane for red team is working out like this. Talon gets a counter kill very smooth, and the Elise might be next on the chopping block unless that cocoon might have just saved her life. Parallel convergence does come in. Echo drops in his own bubble, but Talon does not relent. He is going for the kill. He will be taken down. So will the Nautilus. He gets caught out in the river eating some grapes, and Lucian mercilessly guns him down for desecrating the honey fruit. In top lane, Aatrox is up to a healthy laning lead now up against the Jax. And this is where, I mean, watching this just kind of makes my blood boil at the very sight of it. Just a poor, not really self-respecting because it's a Jax player, but just a poor top laner trying to make a living. And the game freezes at that particular moment. World Ender gets popped, but Jax flashes. Well, not flashes, counter strikes. Leap strikes to dodge the Aatrox's flash prediction. He will die regardless, but it was a valiant attempt. For all he's worth, we are currently united in the common hatred of Aatrox. It's just simply a very disgusting champion. Elise gets set on fire, and she's slowly burning down to the Talon. Talon will help himself to yet another kill. He is getting very, very strong in this game. And Ezreal, he's mostly made up for the laning deficit, caught up for the most part in CS. Unfortunately, he's down 3 kills, but he's got 4 assists to his name. If he just picks up, let's say, 2 more assists, he'll almost have enough gold as the Lucian. But he has yet to go back for a tier purchase, so he's gonna be sitting on a very delayed tier. Fortunately, Ezreal does stack tier rather quickly. Unfortunately, he still doesn't have a tier at 8 minutes into the game. Aatrox going for another trade against the Jax, but as the Jax landing a lot of his abilities, all Aatrox had to do was stab him once in the face and he wins the trade. Talon going in for the great combo. This Elise is just not catching a break, but here comes Heroic Entrance. It cancels Talon's parkour, but the Elise will die regardless. Talon is just a little bit too strong at this present moment in the game. Meanwhile, Jax is locked up. He cannot assist with whatever the Talon is doing. The bleed makes Galio die, falls on the floor dead. How does a statue even bleed? Talon asks himself as he parkours back to his lane to rake up some additional CS. Finally, Ezreal finds an opportunity to go back home to pick up a Tear of the Goddess. Aatrox teleports back in. The World Ender is popped. He wants to make this kill happen, but the Jack's Leaf Strike gets him out of danger. Or did he? Parallel Convergence comes in for the lockdown. Aatrox gets the stab. It completely whiffs because he's still stabbing into Counter Strike. That's the only thing he knows how to do. Echo will be the one to take away that kill. Like, all you need to do is press Q, but he's just programmed to stab people. Red team is off to a very decisive lead, and so far, Volume 2 looks to be a very solid redemption arc, not for the bot lane. The bot lane is still relatively behind, but they now have a set of competent teammates that are willing to carry the burden. Lucian is coming up, trying to make a really good aggressive trade against the Nautilus, and only lands 2 shots, doing absolutely nothing. Echo going for another round of jungle clears, and this Elise has been set very far behind, and when an Elise goes behind, she becomes perpetually useless for all of existence. She is sitting on a finished tier 2 boost, but basically nothing else. And Talon going for another aggressive trade. He smells the blood in the water. One more auto attack will pop the bleed. Can he make it happen? Yeah, he does get the bleed, but Galio will not die to it. He's far too healthy for that. Jack's going in for a trade. The Ignite goes down. It's cutting the healing. He might finally kill the Aatrox, and he finally gets to do it for the first time. He must feel very proud. Echo kills off the Elise once again for the 17th time this game. It feels like the Lucian gets lit on fire. He has to run away. Here comes the teleport from the Galio, but he is far too late to reverse the fortunes of any of his teammates. 6 kills to 15. It seems to be a landslide victory for Red Team so far. A 4,000 gold lead is not necessarily unheard of, but a 4,000 gold lead at 10 minutes is certainly backbreaking to behold. Looks like a very easy game so far here for Red Team. Now, Red Team will take away the Ocean Drake. Lucian does have Kraken Slayer complete as of his latest death. Ezreal still working on Divine Thunderer. He wouldn't go Divine Thunderer first anyway. But he will now be up against the Lucian with the Kraken Slayer. It is an immediate power spike that he has acquired for himself. The laning phase will not end yet. It's only 11.5 minutes in, although the goalie might betray the game time. It does feel like it's later on in the game than it actually is. But for now, Red Team is still decisively ahead with very, very early on into the game. There's still 2 minutes before the plates go away. Now Talon parkours over the wall. Unfortunately, his Rake missed the Galio, and that might have been the critical damage output he needed, but he seems poised for this one kill, and he does make it happen. Unstoppable now is the Galio. The Dredge line will completely whiff, scoring a field goal between the two blue team bot laners. And Lucian, he's in the prime position to lay down the pain, unless the World Ender gets popped here up top. The Elise is coming in for the kill, and the Aatrox, unfortunately, lets his Bloodlust overtake him and extends a little bit too far. Dredge line and Mystic Shot connects onto the exact same place, and they both miss. I lisped for no reason. Dredge line, oh, finally, third time's the charm, it will connect, followed by the Death Charge. The Lucian is completely locked up, but can he make it happen? No, he cannot. Ezreal takes a chunk of damage, but he is not dead, and that's what matters. He needs to make this one kill happen onto the Janna. The Howling Gale interrupts him, which means that Janna is likely safe. Parallel Convergence drops from the super far back. Echo comes in, but the Cocoon catches him out. The Chrono Break, however, will be enough to finish the job with the disc in the air still. Talon says, oh, Ultimato. As he was killed off by an unknown assailant. Why you no use? He says. To save your addict. I'm confused. I don't know why it gave him such a weird voice. But as it stands, Ezreal misses a cannon and Talon is very confused. He will be shut down. Who killed him actually? Janna. Janna killed the Talon. That might actually demand a replay moment. We will rewind the time to see what exactly had transpired here in the bottom lane. Oh, it seems okay. It seems to be a lot less climatic than I thought. But if there was anybody to give 1,000 gold to, you might as well make it the support. He's probably the least threatening target you can give the money to. There's the Talon coming in. Talon assumes Janna has no monsoon, and unfortunately, this is the biggest trap of all time. Alright, now we will rewind back to life with our curiosity fully sated. Why you no use to save your ADC? Okay, now turret plating will fall soon. Talon comes back in for another attempt at taking down the statue man. The statue man is super far behind. He doesn't even have a single item complete. Meanwhile, the Talon is already sitting on Mythic plus boots. One more tower plate goes over the way of the Aatrox. Jax comes in for an aggressive trade. Once again, all Aatrox really has to do is stab him in the face once and win. Just kidding! The Ignite healing cut. A little bit too much. Aatrox frantically pings it out. He has realized that Ignite is in fact a very cheap summoner spell, and Jax turns it around. The Triforce completion is giving him the power spike he needed to make those kills happen. And suddenly, it seems like Jax has finally gotten the upper hand over the Aatrox. Never felt like it, but now that the Aatrox is genuinely 1-4 off a double kill, and the Aatrox doesn't, well, not the Aatrox, the Jax seems like he's not done. But the Talon, a little bit too strong for him. Blue team will take the first turret, and they are slowly, actually, by a sheer miracle, clawing their way back into the game, mostly from top lane, to be honest, because the Aatrox turns out to be a total deadweight in the face of being set on fire. But they do take the first tower. Talon is still making roams. He's really red team's strong point. They should be playing through him more or less. Let him roam as much as his heart desires, and just to make picks. Elise is still pretty useless. Galio's still pretty useless. Janna's still pretty useless. Lucian's okay, not necessarily strong, but not a sandbag either. Although the Jax is winning. He's prevailing in this matchup finally. Meanwhile, let's check the gold differential. Yeah, a huge discrepancy here from the top and bottom matchups. 800 ahead for Lucian. That's just given the CS deficit and the kill lead that the Lucian has. Granted, the deficit in CS is not that noticeable anymore. It's essentially more or less the same. The top lane, that's where the real difference maker is. The Aatrox has been somewhat relentlessly feeding despite his consistent ability to pressure the Jax in lane. But he's making so many boneheaded plays, and there's another one. This one actually gets reworded because the Galio is basically a sheet of paper at this point in time. Somebody swapped out a magic statue and replaced it with paper mache. Talon going for another kill. It seems like he's set his sights on killing this Jax over and over. He is the only strong point. Unfortunately, Jax finally found the upper hand. He will bonk down the Talon with the last club available to him. Echo goes in, blinks in, flashes out, and then dives back in. He will die to the tower in the most confused Echo play of all time. This is going to be a 2-for-2 across the map. But red team come out ahead with one tower, and they widen the goal lead yet again. But now the Jax is starting his split push terror. Aatrox finally has Gore Drinker, and we all know a single Gore Drinker is all Aatrox needs to heal from 0 to full. But let's see if he can use it to truly reverse his fortune. Red team is still holding on to a lead, but blue team is refusing to sink deeper into the abyss. Ezreal finally pulls ahead with a lead against Lucian. He has himself a bounty now. He's certainly getting up there, not useless. Lucian is probably still temporarily, for but a fleeting moment, stronger than the Ezreal. But that lead is not expected to last anymore, as Ezreal, he's getting the resources he needs, he's getting the kills now, and he's finally getting some items. The Sheen power spike is there. Lucian's gonna get terrorized by the Talon, but here comes the Galio to save the day. The taunt lands onto the Echo, no chance to break out of it. He will be taken down right before the dragon fight begins. No jungler is massive, but the Talon, he's thirsty for more. He's still making it happen. The Duskblade invisibility is keeping him so safe. The Elise needs one more bite, but she can't make it happen. Quadra kill to the Talon. As we're just over 18 minutes in, red team secures their first strike without the jungler. What appeared to be a horrible start got rectified because the Talon just went in the back and stabbed everybody and went invisible every single time. Definitely a very disgusting display of Talonry. Now the Aatrox, realizing that he's been thoroughly outmatched, runs away from the Jax with the World Ender, but Jax, he's tasted blood in the water. He wants more. The Gore Drinker is used. The flash While the dash over the wall, he will rendezvous with some ally, but there's a teleport coming into the pit. Oh, who dares enter at this moment in time? It is the paper mache Galio. But the Jax, super strong, out to club the Ezreal, almost gets him killed. The Monsoon heals him for just a brief amount. The chase down is coming. Janna is the sacrificial lamb. She will be hooked in and killed off. But Aatrox wants more. He somehow healed back to full health because this is in fact a champion. Healing is embraced here in this game as he is still charging forward. 3 and 4, but he has no fear, only a Gore Drinker to his name. He just lives as a sliver of life and walks away. Echo takes on the Jax in the back. Red team begins their siege of mid lane, all 5 strong. They're determined to kill this tower. The next minion wave comes in, but it seems like only Madman will going to continue. And Ezreal is the sole Madman on his team. Echo blinks over and yoinks the red buff. Ezreal opts to stay mid. Talon takes away the Krugs, leaves a tiny rock baby to wonder where all of his relatives went, and he has a sight set on the Lucian. Will the exhaust be enough? It will not. He dies without putting up too much of a fight. Exhaust is used? Not like it matters. Talon is super fed right now. Just disgustingly ahead. Echo blinks in for the spider. Seems like the spider will die for the 7th time. The bonk to the back. The Elise gets killed off in human form. Galio is next to die. And suddenly blue team, well not suddenly, but blue team falling apart at the seams. It is just a Jax with really any chance of killing anybody here on red team. But the Talon, certain MVP this game. He's made so many impressive plays and pickoffs, fully suppressing blue team from ever getting ahead. Janna gets hooked in, she might be the next victim. Q1 from Aatrox. Jumps her up in the air, but there's the depth charge onto the Jax. That's their last strong member. He gets killed off Dredgeline, and the Monsoon blows Talon right into Lucian's face. But unfortunately, he cannot make a kill happen. He gets cocooned up, not like it matters. Aatrox is the world ender, trying to make a play happen. No, nothing will happen. He just walks away. Unfortunately, Talon decided he's had enough of this mortal coil. Just kidding, he's back. As blue team's inhibitor crumbles to the ground. Seems like he just has no chance. Red team is just too far ahead at this point in the game. As Volume 2 of our adventures seems to be closing on a high note. The Talon is still being caught. They're making every attempt possible to kill him, and it seems like they will actually get him here. Elise will finally take that kill after expending way more summoners than they care to admit. Oh, says the Talon. I wonder what sudden revelation he's arrived at. But he says the oh as if he's achieved some sort of cosmic revelation that he is in fact mortal. And the Elise takes down 950 gold into her own pocket. Pretty hefty amount of change. Unfortunately, it still makes her useless. She's a little bit too far behind at this stage in the game. 950 gold. It is a generous sum of money, but not enough. It was, however, enough to make her get a Zayas. That's not nothing. Zayas is consistently the strongest item in the game. More or less. It is a blatant exaggeration, but it is consistently good. Inferno Drake is spawning in 30, but there is a Jax. He springs the trap, he pounces onto the Aatrox. World Ender is popped, he's fighting it out. The Gore Drinker is used, but that's the last of his healing. The Ignite is still ticking strong. One more proc will finish it, but he does not get it. Aatrox survives on a sliver of life, and Jax, the ambush fully fails. And with Jax having been foiled, the rest of blue team has virtually no combat power. This is most certainly a dragon in favor of red team. 23 minutes in. Red team will take away Drake number 3, but Echo, he has other plans in mind. He's diving deep. He's chrono breaking back. He realizes that's a horrible idea. The True Shot Barrage doing about 100 damage to the entire blue team. They all back off. Divine Thunder is done on the Ezreal, but unfortunately he has to find targets to shoot at to make that item worthwhile. 14 to 36. 20 kills ahead still for red team. Ezreal latches onto the Jax. The depth charge is deployed. He is the only strong member. They need to kill him off. The monsoon is there. So is the grand entrance or hero's entrance or whatever that's called. The Aatrox is the first victim. Jax makes his name known. The talent is very low. He runs away. He gets killed off as well. And suddenly, blue team, they seem to be winning this team fight by a significant amount. The Cocoon finally lands. Quadra kill to the Lucian. And finally, blue team found themselves a second threat to play through as Lucian picks up a significant chunk of gold, 2.7k. That's an insta-buy on one full item. Or almost a full item. He gets Warhammer? Cloak? Yep, he's almost bought the entire item off that team fight, and was a miraculous one. It gave blue team a way back home, and unfortunately, in the hypest of moments, I ran out of water and my throat is tearing itself apart, so I could not cast it in its full glory. But the Jax, he's getting up there. He's still terrorizing the Aatrox, all things considered. But as the game crests over, even an Aatrox with half a brain could probably beat the Jax. Just in terms of raw sustain. And Lucian gets caught out, his health bar gets bursted from full to zero. A grand fall for our hero, who just newly minted himself as a second threat, just popped in a mere instant by the Echo. What a sad existence that was. He got to be a national hero for all of 30 seconds before his wings were cruelly ripped away from him. And that is going to be Baron Nashor going the way of red team. Teleport coming in, but it's gonna be cancelled by the Aatrox. Galio will not arrive at the back of the pit, but red team seems to ward it regardless. Red team has slain the Baron Nashor. Jax will have to try to disengage, but the Nautilus is jumping on him, applying the CC. The Jax has no way out, and this is a full reversal of the previous fight, turned completely haywire. Lucian just respawns, but it is too late. Blue team has decided to call it. Lucky quad. As Volume 2 closes with our hero taking a victory.